good evening, and welcome to the Caring View, the online social care, health and social care platform, I must say. Free to access for everybody working and living within health and social care. Before we get started, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on our socials, don't forget to give us a follow. We also have our podcast you can access on Spotify or directly through our website, which is www.thecaringview.co.uk, with Series 4 now live and proudly sponsored by Florence Healthcare. It's all around how to develop yourself as care professionals through the eyes and the lens of membership organizations. Please do check that out. Episode 1 is live now with Nadra Ahmed. But on to tonight's show. Live as always, I'm joined by my most fabulous friend, Mark Tops. Hello, Mark.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm really tempted to do the Holly Willoughby sort of, firstly, are you okay? But then I thought, no, let's not be too controversial. I'm fine, Mark, I'm fine. And we are joined by the fantastic Karen and Ian, Big Ian and Karen. Karen, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Just want to introduce myself. I'm the charity manager for Vicky McClure's Dementia Choir. Great to be on here today. Looking forward to it.
Nice to have you with us, Karen. And Big Ian, no strangers to the Caring View. Let's remind everyone who you are.
Well, I don't really know sometimes. I'm a bit of a voice for people living with dementia or learning disabilities. I've sort of been involved in both. And we just try and fight the corner for care, really, and the people working in care and living in care and making everything a bit better and a bit kinder for everybody. That's kind of what I do, I think.
Thank you both very much. So we are tonight going to talk about music and dementia. So really pleased that we've got both of you here, because I know that you've both done lots around music and dementia. So I guess, did you both want to introduce kind of the music that you're doing, some of the impact that you've seen, and kind of what makes you want to continue doing what you do and doing well? Karen, we'll start with you in the Dementia Choir. Are you able to give us a bit of a background about that?
Yeah, of course. So we've been running now for 5 years. Obviously started off with the BBC series, and we've done 3 series over the last 5 years. And we've got bigger and better in terms of raising awareness of the power of music. We actually see, feel and hear all those transformations week in, week out with people that are living with dementia. And, you know, we're trying to raise awareness to support other dementia choirs across the country, and also to get the government to listen to us, the NHS to listen to us, to actually show that music is medicine, or part of the medicine and the support that can be given to people living with dementia and their carers as well, because it supports them both. So we've been running for about 5 years, and you know, we started off with 20 choir members. Unfortunately, we've lost 13 along the way. We've got 30 in the choir at the moment, and I've got a really long waiting list as well. So it just shows how much we're spreading the word.
And I know I've spoken to you kind of pre-show, Karen, and around kind of the support that it brings for the carer as well. And obviously it's Carers Week this week, so probably highlighting
that's right,
for people.
Yeah, so the music does bring support for the carers, doing something together with their loved ones and making memories. However, we're a family as well, so we support each other. It's the networking with each other. There's always somebody you can talk to who's probably been through something similar with a loved one. We do pamper days for carers. We bring in outside professional bodies like the Alzheimer's Society or social prescribers or different bodies that can support them. So I say it's not just about the choir, it's about being a family, and being part of that family is a lifeline for a lot of people.
No, thank you very much. And Ian, what about yourself? Obviously, you've just explained you've got obviously experience of both people living with dementia, obviously older people, and people living with a learning disability.
Well, myself, I've been a professional musician since I was 19 and gig every week. Music's not an add-on with my life. It's it's not part of the icing, it's part of the cake, and it is with everybody that I meet. So we do a night called A Night to Remember at York Barbican. We're in our 10th year. It's one of the country's biggest live music dementia awareness raises. It raises a load of money for bespoke projects within York, not for like big charity stuff that's national, but we can see the gardening clubs, the art clubs, we can see the either a dementia choir or, and this is another thing, Karen, that happens in York. There's a lady called Jessa Liversidge, and she doesn't have a dementia choir as such. It's called Singing for All. And basically it just says, that's what it is. It's like when you move into a street, you know what I mean? You move into a street and you don't know who's all around you. You don't all have the same needs. You don't all have the same thing. So what they do is they have people with learning disabilities, people living with dementia, people with physical needs, their carers, their families, their friends, somebody who's just a bit lonely. It's a real sort of, you know, a lovely mix of people, and everyone's there for everybody else, and it makes a great noise. And we've put on things like festivals where we've put a band together with 10 decades in a band. Everybody from 0 to 10 to teenagers, 20s, 30s, 40s, to show that music is for everyone. And we've done music festivals in Nottingham. Karen, you'll be aware of Landermeads. Are you in Chilwell?
Yes, we've got a couple of our members from
that. Well, I'll tell you what, we do a thing in the summer on July the 2nd called All Together Now, where we bring everybody, and it doesn't matter what the need is. We put a pro band together, and at the front, I work with some of the singers, and people aged 94, 96 have made their live festival debut with us on a stage or off a stage. If they're in a wheelchair, we bring all the band off stage, and it is the most glorious, beautiful thing that happens in a car park. And it just shows that music's for everyone. And that's the message. Like, you know, that's it. But, you know, whether it's you've got dementia or not, think how important music is to us. You know, that's what it is. It's just such a part of our lives and part of our history and part of our today.
Yeah, I mean, age-wise, the choir's had age early 30s to mid-90s. So, you know, we've done Splendour, which was 24,000 people. We've done small care home performances, things like that. And, you know, we don't mind the size of the audience, to be fair. In fact, I think it's more personal when you get the smaller audiences because you can feel and touch it. You know, the bigger it gets, the more impersonal it gets to a certain extent. But I think, you know, having somebody who's in the 30s and somebody who's in the 90s just, you know, enjoying the same thing, it's absolutely wonderful to see. And we did a performance in South Warminster on Saturday night, and we had John Bishop as our host. And there were some children there from age 7 singing with the choir. And what we're trying to do is raise awareness within younger age groups, so it doesn't become too much of a stigma for younger children that, you know, when the grandparents, you know, start, you know, getting symptoms of dementia or so yeah, we're trying to raise awareness and, you know, show that it's not as frightening as you might think it might be.
The thing you say there with children there, Karen, there was some kids came into a care home and they did a Christmas Carol concert, and one of the older people there said, the children can't see dementia, they can just see us. And I think when those two generations come together, that's when the magic happens, because one group haven't made their mind up, and the other group are old enough to think, Adam, let's not waste our time here. It's the generation in between who think they've got all the answers that are the trouble, Karen. We need to keep them out of the way.
Just kick them out.
80-year-olds together having the best time. And that's the way we should do it.
Well, what our eldest choir member, she drinks Prosecco out the bottle with a straw. So
there you go. Rock and roll.
He loves life.
She sounds like my friend.
You want to see the riders that some of the choir have got.
The riders. Hold on. Hold on. You've got a rider
Oh yes, most definitely.
You'll be saying you don't do stairs or brown M&Ms next year. You've got a lot of variety.
We're not that bad, but we do have champagne and strawberries. No,
Do you really? Have you heard this, Adam? We're in the wrong game, man. We're in
there's
the
definitely
wrong
biscuits
game
and,
here.
there's
You
got
need
to
to
be
up your
biscuits and
game, Ian.
cake. Biscuits and cake are a must.
Fantastic.
So we've got a couple of videos that you've both shared with us. And Karen, we're going to come to your first one first. I didn't know if you wanted to introduce it, and then Adam's going to be very technical and get it to play for us.
Yeah, so this first video that we've got is from 2018 when the choir first started in the very first series. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of the members of that particular section of the choir now. There are about 5 or 6 still with us at the moment, but it was a journey of like-minded people getting together. Never had anything like this before in their lives, you know, being filmed on BBC, and with an ultimate performance at the Royal Concert Hall with thousands of people watching them, and it's just a journey of love, laughter, tears, and everything really. We did a lot of research in the first series to get to this point, to see what the power of music actually did. And it was amazing to see both the medical research and just the joy in people's faces. So just enjoy this first video. You'll love it.
2022
2018 though first.
Dementia Choir.
That's the end bit, Adam. That's better.
Hello, Nottingham! This is Bernard. Here's Maureen. This 20-strong choir all have one thing in common. They live with dementia. Betty, Julie, Ahmed, John, Daniel. 850,000 people in the UK have dementia, and it can strike at any age. I'm Vicky McClure. I watched my nonna being taken by dementia, and I watched her personality slowly fade away. And it's one of the hardest things to watch a family member go through.
So how old are you today?
14.
I also saw how music helped, changing her mood, calming her down, and for a while bringing us back the old nonna.
Hello, come on in, yeah, come on.
I want more people to see the benefits of music, so I'm forming a dementia choir.
Get me to the church on time.
I want to see if music really can make a difference to my choir.
I think it's something to put in our memory boxes, to look back on it and think, wow, we did that.
But it's meeting people like you. Thank you for being part of our journey.
I want to prove that life doesn't end with a diagnosis.
It's people like you that people like me need.
I'm Anton. This is my wife, Mary.
It's not.
Yeah. How old am I now? Sorry. I'm 74, 1942.
You'll
What
be
year?
76 this year.
76, yeah.
In December.
I started counting backwards when I was 70, so...
How did you propose, Mick?
How did I propose?
Can't you remember? No.
I've got dementia.
I know you have. I can remember things you said.
Oh.
You were saying that at long last you'd found somebody that you wanted to be with for the rest of your life.
Who was that?
It's 3 months since we all first met, and the rehearsing is done. The day of our performance is here.
Places have their moments
with lovers and friends. I still can recall some are dead and some are living. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
In my life, I love you all.
Hello, Captain Marvel.
Oh, come on, lads.
It was lovely, it really was. I've always gone to music and I feel better.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, and it only gets better, Ian. It only gets better.
May I ask, who approached who to make that? Because the thing is, the media attention, you've had the swell of support. It's like you've just had such a following win. But who lit this fire? Who approached who to make it happen?
Well, it all started. So Vicky did an original program around caring and looking after a grandmum. So the BBC approached Vicky to see if she wanted to create a series on the power of music and dementia and form a choir. And obviously it had to be based in Nottingham because that's where Vicky originates from and still lives in Nottingham. And what happened was, so my husband's got Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed at age 51. And we were approached originally by our consultant. So letters went from the BBC to medical professionals in the Nottingham area with application forms to audition. And, you know, we were proposed to go forward for it because Mick was so young and he loved singing. So, yeah, it all started from there. And, you know, everybody was sort of auditioned and, you know, it just, you know, fed from there, really. So there was 20 to start off with. And then obviously when that first series finished, Vicky wanted to carry on with the choir. She didn't want it to stop because it had had such a positive impact on many, many people, both, you know, those who watched it, those who were in it. So we transferred the choir to a charity in its own right. And about a year later, when I finished work, or I say finished work, I retired part-time. I took on the role of charity manager, working with Vicky to, you know, move it forward. And it's well, as Vicky tells me, I've created a monster, but there you go.
Oh, it's a good it's a cuddly monster, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, it was originally only going to be like 3 or 4 hours a week. Now I'm lucky if I get 3 or 4 hours off a week.
Yeah, that'll teach you for having such a good thing. I have to say, the BBC could have done this as a box ticker to say, right,
They could have.
We've done this. We'll tick a box. We'll stick it on BBC Two, and we'll stick it on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock or something. But they gave it prime time viewing. They got behind it all. Like, you know, it was such a good thing. I think, seriously, I know the buzz it's created around Nottingham with, you know, it's one thing being on telly, but if you feel it in a community and you see people excited about going to rehearsals and going to meet up and to meet up with them, that's the real buzz about it. And by the way, whoever said In My Life, the Beatles, rhythmically, that is so complicated, that song. And all of those people and the conductor, the way he sort of does it, that is so difficult to get it right. Where the notes actually occur It is such a song, but it's my favourite Beatles song, so it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, we do quite a few Beatles songs now, and we've actually got a gig at the Cavern Club in November for the Beatles.
What a cosy spot! It's a
Pardon?
cosy little spot. Please warn all the choir that the statue of Cilla Black outside, Cilla Black wasn't really 7.5 foot tall. But she towered over me, did Cilla, when I went there.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that as well. So we've got quite a few big gigs coming up. So yeah, that's going to be one of our favourites.
Before we move on to the next part of that video, Karen, we've had a question come in from Royden in the chat. And it's a simple question. Why does music have such an impact? I think back to validation therapy, where using songs from our childhood can bring us back to that moment, and they can bring us out of, that closet that goes into our minds with dementia and Alzheimer's. But what is the reason behind it?
Well, the medical reason behind it is that music uses every part of your brain. So whatever part of your brain is being diminished by the proteins of Alzheimer's or what other type of dementia that the person has got, it then hits onto the bit that is still working. So it continually is still there all of the time. So if you've got frontal temporal dementia, for example, it'll be behavior and emotions that are hit. And music will be part of that frontal lobe, but actually it's part of the left and the right side of the brain as well. So no matter what, I mean, I've seen people that can't physically move, can't talk, but when music comes on, something happens, and it is just amazing. And that is the medical reason. But obviously, from what you were saying earlier, music is a rhythm, and they might not know what the words mean or what the words say in a song, but they can remember that rhythm. Because, I mean, my husband, he doesn't even know my name now, but he can sing a song from the 70s from start to finish because he's remembered that rhythm, he's remembered that pattern, and it's hitting every part of his brain. But yeah, it is bizarre. It is really bizarre, but that is the background to probably the medical side of it.
And Shiva's just come in to say that he totally supports music and dementia. It's very powerful and seems to help the person access parts of their memory which is otherwise hidden in the background. He's used music to support many individuals who become anxious, especially in the evening, as a diversion. It always helps to change the mood and get them to relax. The simple music player, which is especially for individuals with dementia, is a great tool as well.
And I do that with Mick. If he gets a bit agitated or a bit anxious, I'll just put his playlist on. And immediately it just calms him down.
We used to go out with Em's mum. Em's mum got dementia in her 50s, and we used to go out for a walk. And when we went out on the walk, I would get my mobile phone out, my Spotify, and would put tunes on. And even when dementia had really taken hold of her, she knew all the words to, I think, the most complicated song there might have been lyrically. And that is 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Now, if you listen to that song, it is so complicated. And she was singing it all. And then we would bring out other tunes, and she'd bring out Brian Ferry songs, and when she was a nurse, and how she wanted to marry Brian Ferry, but unfortunately she was already married to someone else, and all this sort of thing, and all these things. And we used to go out and we'd be singing sort of Hey Hey with the Monkeys and doing the thing with our legs, and it was just ridiculous. But it was a lovely escape, and it was like a time machine. We had different playlists for different parts of our life, and that was beautiful. The one question, by the way, in that Vicky McClure clip that I thought was absolutely bang on was when she says to her nana, "How old are you today?" Right there, you go.
Mick said different ages. I mean, he said he's 17, and he said he's 50. He said he's 25. He doesn't know what day it is. Never mind how old he is.
But like the thing is, music is a time machine, and it takes you to a point in time, and that's why there's things like 80s bars and stuff like that, where people my age go in there as if they're still relevant. You know? And that's the thing. And it takes us to a point of time, and it takes us back to that room, and hopefully it takes us to be surrounded by the people who we may not have anymore. And I think that's why even the most devout atheists sing Christmas songs. You know, I think they take all the religion away and go, to be honest, I'm not bothered about a manger or a shepherds or whatever. That's a damn good song.
I just like the tune.
I'll sing along. So I think it sort of breaks down religious barriers, does music, because it makes people just feel as though they belong. It's because music's ours. We all share it. And I think that's its joy. We don't say, oh, that's mine, you can't have it. We say, oh, that's mine. Oh, it's also yours as well. And it can be somebody else's, and it can be somebody else's. And a song can be somebody's first dance, or it could be the last thing that they hear when they say goodbye to their mum or their dad. And that's what music is. It's
a memory, isn't it?
It doesn't necessarily belong to the person who wrote
never
it.
goes. Yeah.
There's something really infectious about it, isn't there? Though, as soon as you've got kind of one or two people singing, it kind of joins in. But we've got another video, Karen. We're going to stick with your three first. So, did you want to introduce the second part of
your video? Lockdown was particularly hard for us as a family. Obviously, myself of a certain age, you know, woman going through the menopause. My husband with Alzheimer's, and my daughter who was a sort of I don't know what can we call hormonal teenager. In lockdown, it was the perfect storm in our house, and it was particularly difficult. And I'm most certain that it affected Mick, and he'd lost a lot of his communication skills during that period. However, Mick's got a bucket list. He's nearly completed most of it, to be fair. And one of his bucket list items was to sing on a London stage. And in lockdown, the Coliseum opened up for us. Me, Vicky, the BBC crew, Adrian Dunbar, English National Opera. We all went down to the Coliseum, and we made his dream come true. So just watch this video, because this is absolutely stunning in terms of what Mick could do then. He can still sort of do that now, and he does perform on his own at our concerts to Bring Me Sunshine, which you'll hear him sing.
Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love.
Oh, come on, let's go and see them.
Well done. Enjoy that?
Great.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love you. Well done.
That was gorgeous.
Yeah, so music also, you tend to lose your inhibitions a little bit, you know, not bothering about getting on stage. Mick couldn't care less whether he's got 24,000 or 20 people in front of him. He doesn't get nervous. Yeah, and most of them are the same, to be fair, in the choir. They absolutely love it. They thrive on it. They really do. And, you know, that was one of Mick's dreams come true. He didn't have the big audience, but he didn't care. He just wanted to smash it on the stage. And, you know, he learnt that song. He obviously knew the tune and everything, but he learnt that song, and it was difficult. And you probably saw Mark DeLissa, who's our choir director, using sign language quite a lot, and Mick lip reads quite a lot because he can't read and sing at the same time. So having the right choir director or the right support in place when you're running a dementia choir is quite important, because it gives easier access to people who can't learn new things as easily or read things at the same time, because lip reading and sign language can be important. And yellow paper, believe it or not, using yellow paper with words on can help them.
Top
So
tip.
yeah, special moment for us as a family, that.
I was going to say it was probably nice because obviously you'd have had all the, like we all have, you know, the memories of obviously the pandemic and lockdowns and things, but actually you've got a real kind of golden nugget there of a memory that you've got.
Yeah, it was really weird. We walked down Oxford Street, just the three of us down the middle of the street, nobody in sight. It was with the Christmas lights on. It was the weirdest feeling ever.
You know what I thought was appalling about lockdown? Choirs were the last groups able to rehearse and perform
Get together, yeah.
Right? You could,
and then wind bands.
You could go to Anfield and you could
Yeah.
sing You Never Walk Alone with a load of people, right? You could go to horse racing, you could go to loads of stuff, you could go to all manner of stuff, right? You can go in a pub, right? You could have gone in a pub, but for some reason, if you picked up a guitar or you were singing, you were pretty much the last for the drawbridge to come down. It really was.
It was so demoralising on Zoom, wasn't it? Really.
Oh, we went, and of course, Zoom doesn't do things in time.
No.
So
you can't sing together, can you?
I tried to do one on Zoom, and so you do Stand By Me, and you go, so it goes like this: when the night, and the rest of them go, when the night has come, and the land is. It's like
somebody else comes in a bit later.
And so, like, if you're vaguely out there, it's like dominoes of just people who can't clap. It's awful. And it was over 500 days before choirs could get back together in the room and bands could get playing. Me and my band, right, we were playing in a massive aircraft hangar type barn, spaced out, right? We like had sort of 20 feet between us. We weren't taking any chances. And we were sitting in a big circle in this sort of like hangar barn thing. And to have music stolen when it's part of your life.
And of course, some of our choir didn't have access to technology or the wherewithal to know how to work it either. So it was pretty difficult, to be fair. I wrote a bid to the local authority they had a COVID community fund which I was successful with, to get laptops and various things for choir members so they could access sessions online, even if it was just to have a cup of tea and a natter. It was just enough to keep them, you know, interacting with other people. But yeah, it was awful. It was an awful period of time, and it definitely set me back at least 6.
Can you imagine, Karen, if I was to say to you now, you're not going to have any music in your life, live music in your life, for 500 days starting today? Like, we just did sort of like 2 weeks at a time, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, 2-week chunks. We just sort of like broke it down into little segments and thought, sure, this must be the last one this month. But 500 days. You know,
see, I kind of wish I'd have known you guys back then, because, you know, I was care home manager at the time during lockdown, and I know Zoom's not the most ideal thing, but I created a virtual entertainment group which linked care homes up around the country, and we would all join up in our living rooms, and we would have sing-alongs every single day. We would have, you know, group choirs in care homes every single day, just singing with each other. I mean, yeah, we did Tai Chi and chair yoga and darts competitions as well. But that was the one thing we didn't want in, being a John's campaign ambassador, I'm really keen to not let people get worse during situations of abandonment. And that's what the pandemic was.
Oh, total abandonment.
Yeah.
It was...
And we had to keep people ticking. We had to keep them going. We still kept visits going in our care home during that period. They were face-to-face. They were not behind barriers and walls and stuff, because it is super important that we don't lose that. And music was one of the things we didn't want to lose in our home, because it is such a medicine for the soul. And we had to do it by helping other homes do it as well. So, yeah, we might not have been able to help individuals in their own homes, but we made sure these other homes had the technology and they could sort it out and we could connect. And, we did keep it going. So there was no 500 days of silence for the people we were supporting. I just wish I'd have known you back then, because we could have done stuff together.
I wish too. Because when it got to Christmas, and they said in Christmas 2020, and they went, right, Christmas is cancelled. You can't be with your mum. You can't be with your dad. There's no cuddling. There's no nothing. I think I had 2 weeks to come up with the big Christmas care sing-along. And I just put a thing out on LinkedIn and said, right, daft idea. We want to link all these people from all around the world who can't be together to somehow be together. So we brought in Australia, and we brought in people from Venezuela and blooming all over the place. And we put this together, and we got it was kind of like a cross between Gogglebox, Karen. You've Been Framed and A Beautiful Christmas Concert, and possibly in those proportions. I think The Beautiful Christmas Concert comes last, but it's something that we've done since. And we do every Christmas, because, do you know what? I think it's a beautiful thing to celebrate the people that are in care, the people that work in care, as a thank you to everybody that's part of the community, and to highlight some fantastic music. And there it is. We've got the last 2 or 3 of them on that website, and they can play as live, and they're just a whole heap of... They're a nightmare to put together, as Adam will vouch anything, because Adam featured this year with a beautiful story about Christmas and, his personal journey with Christmas. And I'll tell you what, it was... want a dry eye in the house, Adam, on that little story, mate. Wasn't a dry eye.
I mean, we did something similar with Mark DeLissa and his Singology choir. They, did something that was pretty much worldwide, but it was professional singers a lot of the time. And, a few of the choir joined in, but it would have been so nice to have got care homes together, and, people that are living with dementia together. It has just been really, really nice. So, yes, I wished I'd have been part of that as well.
But 2022, you were doing something else. So do you want to introduce us to the final part of your video, Karen, and we can get that up?
Yeah, so I'd say it's not the final part of our journey. It was a sort of our last series. So one of the aims was to raise awareness with younger people, and our ultimate goal was to sing at Splendour with Tom Grennan. So getting into the younger group of people, which is absolutely amazing. He's been great with us, Tom has actually. He's done a lot for the choir, gives us free tickets to his concerts. I have emailed him a few times and asked him for a few other things, but he's not replied to them yet.
Well, steady on, girl. Steady on.
I know. But yeah, I mean, it was just an absolute, storm. And also, we were the first dementia choir to actually record our own single in Abbey Road, which you'll see on this video as well, which is called "What's Your Story?" Still available on Apple download. We've had 22,500 downloads. We got to number 6 in the charts. So yeah, just see the journey of us recording our single and playing at Splendour with Tom.
Wow.
2022 was a massive year for our dementia choir. We recorded a single at the legendary Abbey Road Studios in London.
becoming the first choir of people living with dementia to do this.
Yesterday, thought I saw that today an aging man.
Wow! Then later that summer, we performed in front of our biggest audience to date. I think my choir are ready. The crowds are flooding in. Splendour is on. Evan!
Yes,
You feeling good?
I am.
All morning.
Yay. We've been practicing all morning.
Have you? Steve! You look fantastic. How are you doing? Oh, I'm going to combust.
You're on the main stage, singing with Vicky McClure and her dementia choir. Oh. Yeah?
What do you reckon to all that big stage?
Yeah.
You don't bother, do you?
Okay.
Before we get going, I just want to remind everyone why we're all here.
Today is obviously a momentous day, but what you're going to do is send out a message. You're all living with dementia, and yet you're here at Splendour, proving that it doesn't define you. All ages, all types of dementia. I'm so proud of you. I can't put it into words because each and every one of you face it every day. And you also prove the power of music and how much it means to you and what it changes in your lives. And you're about to spread that message so far and wide, more than we've ever done before. And this is just the beginning. Like, you are going to be paving the way for thousands and millions of people. And it started here. It started with our dementia choir. We might not remember certain things about it tomorrow, the next week, whenever, but you'll never forget this feeling, I promise you that.
Are we ready to have a party, Nottingham? I said, are we ready to have a party, Nottingham?
Thank you so much, Tom. Listen, I can't thank you enough. You have brought the crowd. So I would love to introduce you to Nottingham's Our Dementia Choir. Come on, Margaret. She's got happy tears. Now listen, there is 900,000 people currently living in Britain with dementia. They all have dementia. They're young and older. And it's heartbreaking and it's scary, and that number is only growing because dementia is not taken seriously enough by the people that have the power to make the changes. It should be taken as seriously as cancer. But instead, people are struggling to get diagnosed. And then when they do get diagnosed, they don't get the support they need. I want you to go out and become dementia friends. I want you to make TikToks about dementia. I want you to spread the word far and wide. I want you to sing with us today, and then I want you to shout about dementia tomorrow. And let's make some noise!
Millions of vows become days, and pictures that keep me away. I was trying to find God to see if the love was still the same. And visions of us that don't fade. We were holding on, hoping it don't break. But now that we're dancing, it's all coming back to me. Oh, there was something good we lost along the way. Oh, yeah. And the melody is just not quite the same. And I said, I don't sing along, 'cause I forgot the song. So how does it go? Could you please remind me? Yeah, could you please remind me? She said, I don't even know, 'cause I forgot the song. Thought I was alone. Could you please remind me? Everybody together. Could you please remind me? I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I think it went. Oh, 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 oh. Could you please remind me? Hey, remind me of all those nights and all those fights. say goodbye. All I must is why could you please remind me? She said, I don't sing along, 'cause I forgot a song, thought I was alone. Could you please remind me? Everybody singing. Oh, would you please remind me? Sing it out. I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I think he went. Oh, 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 oh. Could you please remind me? I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I think it went. Oh, 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 oh. Could you please remind me? One more time. And didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I didn't go. Oh, 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 oh. I think it went. Oh, 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 oh. Could you please remind me? Make some noise for these incredible people right now. Louder people, make some noise. Amazing.
That was. Do you want to know why that was even more impressive, fellas? If you've ever played on a festival stage, the sound is shocking.
Yeah.
The bigger the you'll know this, Karen. The smaller the concert, the
Yeah.
better the sound, the more personal it is, the more it is like singing in a room. When
Mhm.
you're on a massive stage with all the monitors on there and all the other stuff, the sound mix is hellish. And and that's one of the reasons that I now wear because rock and roll stole my music, stole
Mhm.
my hearing. And it's certainly that will have been so much more difficult for your singers there, Karen. They did a great job.
Plus the noise from the crowd as well, which you don't actually hear on that,
Yeah.
was phenomenal. You just can't explain it really. To be fair, it was really really loud, and they did really really well. And we're doing Splendor again this year. Yeah, so it's different kind of setup this year. Not
I'll
going to
tell
let
you
any
what, you've
secrets
got.
out, but pardon?
You've got a skeleton key into all the big gigs there. It's like a magic wand. It's like having a Jedi mind trick. You
I
can
know.
just get anywhere. I tell you what, and this is the power of getting the BBC behind you and Vicky McClure behind you, who's passionate about the area and passionate about the cause. Seriously, it's great to see that you're leaning on an open door wherever you go, and it is spreading the word, and it shows everyone that these people might be living with dementia, but they're certainly not singing with it.
No, and we learned a completely new song for our single, so it just shows you that people living with dementia can learn new things as well. It has been a remarkable journey, and it's not over yet. We do get sad times. We do lose some of the choir. It is a revolving door. We know that, but we take the 13 we've lost. We always take a little stand and pictures of them with us, that they go on stage with us all the time. So they're forever in our hearts all of the time, and we're trying to get as many people in as we can, as quickly as we can. But unfortunately, the resources sometimes and the space where we rehearse don't allow us to do that. So unfortunately, the waiting list is fairly long at the moment, and until we get proper funding from the NHS, from the government, for any dementia choir, for any kind of musical support for those living with dementia, this is going to be the case across the country, because there is no funding, and it is a postcode lottery wherever you are. Every bit of money I raise through our own fundraising, bid writing, performance fees, ticket sales, those kind of things. And there's me and one other full-time person that works with me now. It was me for up until about 10 months ago, just on my own, creating this monster. So, yeah, I mean, I've got a crew of volunteers that we couldn't do without. but not everybody's got the time, the resources, and the wherewithal to do that. And it's just a necessity. And I just can't get my head around why the government don't and the NHS don't support it more readily.
Well, we could say that around all of health and social care, where they're just so in the dark ages with supporting us on anything. It's, you know, we can all see what the issues are. We can all see what the problems are. Getting that support from is a totally different story. And especially when we can see something so beneficial as music with dementia, I think more does need to be done. So before we move on, Karen, to a video that Ian's got for us all around the power of music, I think it is, isn't it, Ian? What's next for Dementia Choir? How can people get involved? How can we donate? How can we support you? And what's next for the choir?
So we've got our own website, so you're quite welcome to go and have a look at www.ourdementiachoir.com. Everything's on there that you need to know about the choir. You'll get to meet each individual choir member, what Vicky's got to say, what I've got to say. All our events are posted on there. We're doing small events, big events. We get called in to do lots of things with celebrities. So we're doing Cadogan Hall with Matt Lucas at Christmas. We've got a for one night only where we don't know who the celebrity is yet, but it will be somebody quite big. We've got lots of different things going on around different theatres. So yeah, just go and take a look. We've got our own Just Giving site. If anybody wants to be a volunteer, you know, there's QR codes and sections where you can fill a form in to join as a volunteer, join as the choir. Everything's pretty streamlined now in terms of filling in a form to get that information. You can fill in a form if you would like us to come and perform, just giving us a bit of information. So, yeah, I mean, we're pretty booked up this year, to be fair. We are booking in for 2024 at the moment. It's just absolutely crazy. You'll see lots of our pictures. You can join our newsletter, sign up, so you'll get to see what we're doing. Say Saturday we did Southwell Minster with John Bishop. We did Binks's Yard in Nottingham on Friday with Sam Bailey. So, you know, we are out and about quite a lot with different people. And it's really weird, really, because, you know, 1 minute, cause I still do a bit of schoolwork from my past profession. So I can be doing somebody's audit one day, and then the next minute I can be talking to John Bishop. It's a bit surreal, really, my life at the moment. And then I can be looking after Mick the next. You know, John Bishop approached us, you know, we're starting to build our ambassador group. We'd love to see some ambassadors in different parts of the country. And all I can say is watch this space for next year. You may see a bit more of us around and about the UK.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to see what you do next. Mark and I are obviously part of Care Sector's Got Talent. It's a competition which celebrates the talent and the wonders within social care beyond the caring role. You know, it's all around the talent that's hidden within our workforces and within the people that we're supporting. And I'm, you know, we're nowhere near decision makers on that project, but it would be great to see Dementia Choir and Championing Social Care team up with something around Care Sector's Got Talent, because, you know, it's a stage, it's a stadium, it's an audience, and it's people who relish and love care and want to see something amazing being done. So I'm sure there's plenty that can be done in the future to try and raise.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you can be part of my journey, my personal journey with Mick, he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the choir. And a lot of people in the choir have said that to me. And the thank yous I get, people come up to me in tears saying, we really don't know what we'd do without it. You know, that's how important it is. So you get a lot of things back for it. For however hard I work, I get a lot back from it. Ian's fell over.
I fallen over there. Sorry about it.
So yeah, I get a lot back from it as well, Adam. So it's not a one-way street.
It's honestly, it's absolutely fantastic, and we'll be making sure that we're avid followers and supporters for evermore. Don't you worry about that. Now, Ian, I want to come over to you just to sort of come to the end of the show for tonight, but I want you to introduce your video that you've got, which is around the power of music. So if you want to give us an introduction, we'll play it, and then we can finish off with a bit of a chat.
Well, the thing is, we've seen in front of tens of thousands of people. But the best music doesn't play to one audience of 24,000. It plays to 24,000 audiences of one. And this kind of sums it up. I went into Landermead's care home, just round the corner from Karen, not far away, I wouldn't imagine. And I was going to be doing some Christmas songs. I had my guitar in the car, and one of the girls who worked at the care home, her dad was in there, and he had a thing called PSP, which is progressive supranuclear palsy, and he hadn't spoken for some time, and we got talking as I got my guitar, and she said, "Oh, my dad met me mum at a gig in the 80s." I said, "What gig?" And she went, "A singer called Paul Young." And I went, "Well, I know some Paul Young songs." And I dare say Karen will have had a slow dance to one or two of his at the school disco herself. And I thought, I know those songs, but I can't play them on guitar. So I grabbed my guitar, went outside, and I thought, let me find the chords. And I thought, should we go in there and see what happens? If I play these songs from the first night he met his wife. Roll VT, as they say. What happened next? Oh, have you got it, Mark?
It's just coming.
I was going to say, slick. Oh.
Apologies for the gremlins.
So it goes. Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. Whoa. Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. Whoa. I think somebody over there needs a cuddle. Give them a cuddle. Bless you.
And it was the bit at the end. He said, "You take a piece," and he grabbed his own shirt like that, and then he grabbed with me of me with you, and he grabbed my shirt. And honestly, we were two blokes. We were about 40 stones worth of blokes, and we were in bits, absolute bits. But do you know what? That is the power of music. It takes you to somewhere. It finds somewhere. It cuts through the fog. And do you know what? If we found a drug that could do what music was, we'd prescribe it no matter what the side effects. No matter what the side effects. So one little tale, there was a gentleman that I was doing some work with some Spotify, and we were talking, and he was having a bad day, and I got the Spotify out, and I said, "What sort of music do you like, Donald?" He went, "Oh, I like the Mikado." Right? And so I put on some of the music, and he's singing along, and he was dreadful. He had the most horrible voice. It was, but he loved it. It didn't matter, because in his head, it was music, and it was great. He was singing along. And what we did, we captured a little video of him loving this music and singing along. 2 days later, I went into the same care home, and I played back the video for him to see his face. And we're having a cup of tea, and he goes, "Lad, I don't remember that. I don't remember any of that. That's the first time I've seen that." And me and him were about to cry over a cup of tea. And I thought, I've got to pull this back quick. So what I said was this. I said, "Donald, if memories are only going to last until tea time or bedtime, let's make a deal here now. Get up tomorrow and make new ones every single day. And if they only last till tea time and bedtime, get up the next day and make new ones. And if we all get up every day trying desperately to make new memories, well, that's life sorted. It's not a bad little message for all of us. So all of this tonight has been about, dementia and music and all this sort of thing. But do you know what? Music's important to us if we live with dementia or we don't. It's so important to us. It's not an add-on. It's not icing. It's part of the cake.
I fully agree. And, I never used to be a music person when I was younger, but my dad definitely was. And it's amazing how, Karen, my dad's no longer with us now. He died about 5 years ago now, which is shocking how time flies. But music was a huge part of his life, and that's how he connected with other people as well, playing his guitar, singing John Denver. And although the music when he was alive wasn't a huge thing for me, the music now transports me back to memories, it transports me back to everything. And I think it's absolutely incredible. And it was something that you said earlier on in the show, Karen, reminded me of that very famous Maya Angelou quote. And I'm presuming you know it, and if you don't know it, it's, I've learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's sort of what music does. We never forget those feelings.
Mhm.
It's the sense, the smells, the sensory memories that really do stay with us. So for me, music, absolutely essential. And more than music, your memories, your warmth, your touch, your anything that's non-verbal, anything that's not an actual memory, something that is muscle memory, that is a smell, a taste of something, will always take us back. So cherish those moments and make as many of them as you possibly can. I'm very emotional night tonight, so I do apologize that I've got a croak in my voice. I'm going to hand over to Mark.
Benji says hello too.
Woof woof. No, I think for me it's been a great show. I've loved watching the videos and getting to know kind of both of you and what you do more. I think, we touched on it earlier around that this week is also Carers Week. And I think it's safe to say that, unpaid carers, young carers, the backbone of our society, saving social care in the NHS thousands and thousands of pounds per year. So
I was actually told that by the NHS assessor that came around and denied me the NHS assessment formic. And they said it's people like you that are saving the NHS millions of pounds. And my daughter's she was a young carer. She's 18 now, but she's a PA for her dad. She helps out. Young carer. She used to get £800 a year. I got £150 a year. I'm not entitled to carers allowance because I've got too much money in the bank. You're a victim of your own success. It is an absolute minefield. Denied blue badge 5 times, and it's just, it's shocking. It really is shocking. The system is, and the processes you have to go through.
I think the stats were, Mark, when we checked them last, it's 5 million people at any one time over the age of 5 in England and Wales is an informal carer, is an unpaid carer from the age of 5. And it is just, and the support out there does not exist. It really does not exist. And, my mum's a carer for my granddad, was a carer for my grandma until she passed last year. And she keeps talking about potentially, what if he moves in with me? Then I can become his full-time carer. And I'm like, yeah, then you cannot get paid to support him. As soon as they live with you, that support goes. That ability to be paid for that goes. She goes, well, why? Be safer with me and I can look after him full-time. Just the way it is. It's fixed to really penalize people. Yeah, it is. It really, really is. So I doubt anyone is listening. But Helen Whately, if you do get wind of this, come on, let's sort it out. Let's try and fix things for the better now for people who are literally saving the NHS and social care millions.
I've seen carers actually pass away before the ones they're caring for because of the stress. They've become ill themselves, and because they're worn out. I get worn out sometimes, and I've got quite a bit of help around me. So Yeah.
Everybody needs a break sometimes. I've just posted a link. So we did do a show kind of at the beginning of this year on young carers and unpaid carers. So do go check that out because it talks a lot about kind of the struggles that carers are facing day to day. So, but I just want to take a moment to say thank you both of you, Karen, Ian, for joining us tonight. I think it's been a fantastic show.
Yeah, may I also invite all three of you, September the 14th at York Barbican. We have a night to remember where we have Hands and Voices Choir, who all have learning disabilities, and a lot of them are students that I taught back in the day when I was teaching, when I was a young, newly qualified teacher. So they're going to be part of our show. 1,500 people in the audience. York Barbican. We do it for local dementia projects, and we do it for bereaved children support and for people with learning disabilities. It's a real big deal in the city, and as I say, it would be great if you wanted to venture up to York on a train.
It's not far for me.
Not far for you, and as I say, there's already lots of people coming from Nottingham that come from Wren Hall.
Well, I live north of Nottingham, so I live near Clumber Park, so I can just get on the A1.
Oh, there you go. That'd be great. And as I say, we do that, and all of that money goes to charity. So that's called A Night to Remember, York Barbican website, September the 14th. Do you know what? There's worse things to do on a Thursday night.
There's a glamping site up in Thirsk that I quite like, so I could be persuaded to go and spend the night there.
Oh,
yeah, no, I'll definitely come. Sounds good.
I'll bring my caravan. I've got a caravan that I tow. So
there you go. There's your dig sorted, boys.
Well, you'll be there. Yeah,
top to tail and bunks.
It sleeps full.
Ping us over the details, Ian. Yeah, we'll definitely.
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll sort that. That'd be great. By the way, thank you for having us on today. And Karen, absolute pleasure to meet you finally, and to see the work that you've done. Seriously, right? What you've done to create something from nothing is called magic, and that's what you do. So well done to all of you.
Thank you.
Honestly, huge thank you to everyone tonight. This has been The Caring View. You can find everything out about us at www.thecaringview.co.uk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and also our podcast. Next week, we are, and I completely forgot, it wasn't a natural segue, but we have got Championing Social Care on next week. We're going to be discussing this year's Care Sector's Got Talent, which took place a couple of months ago now. Fabulous winner. A really, really great event. Mark and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. And we're already planning 2024's Care Sector's Got Talent. So, yes, do join us next week. It's going to be really, really interesting, really, really exciting to see what we've got planned for next year. And, you know, going from online to tiny little theatre to a stadium this year, it can only get bigger. It can only get better. So we will see you next week. Every Monday, a new episode of our podcast goes live up on Spotify. Please do go and check that out. But until then, do take care. Have a good evening, and we will see you next week.
Thank you very much, both. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.